Welcome back. I'm your host, DO3 Desmond Aka. I'm here this afternoon to help you understand a barrage of criticisms that we have faced by the public over the years. And one of the criticisms that we normally have is that the public accuse us of not attending to fire emergencies with water. Today, with me to have this discussion is the Director for Public Relations of the Ghana National Fire Service, ACFO 1, Timothy Osafo Afum. Sir, please, you are welcome.
Thank you, Desmond.
Sir, please, to start with the conversation, I would like to know that is that assertion really true? The fire service does not attend to emergency scenes without water?
I have been in this job for the past 30 years. There is no single occasion in which any of these allegations have been proven to be true. However, what I have come to understand is that the public does not appreciate the type of work we do. And therefore, if they see us going to replenish, then they assume and conclude that we attended the incident without water. I don't think anybody in his right senses, given the responsibility of placing a fire tender in his or her hands, will move to an incident scene without water. So I can categorically tell you that this assertion is wrong.
So you also say that the public really do not appreciate the work that we do. What is really the challenge here? That they seem to always be bringing up this issue. That anytime they see the fire tender proceeding to an emergency, they say, oh, look at the fire service. This particular incident that they are even attending, there's no water in their fire appliance. What do you think is causing that? Because this thing has been in the minds and in the hearts of the public for quite some time now. It's been over decades. It's even more than 50 years now. And they still continue to say that. What do you think is the problem?
Right. The problem is simple. You see, in developing towns and cities, you need to plan. And so what we are experiencing with the public criticism of the fire service is lack of planning of our cities. Under normal circumstances, our cities should be planned in such a way that in the residential areas, every 100 meters, we should have high pressured fire hydrant that flows every time. Unfortunately, in our circumstances, we don't have it that way. The hydrants don't even exist. In Kwame Nkrumah's Ghana, Kwame Nkrumah did well by ensuring that as our cities develop, we had these fire hydrants at 100-meter intervals and 200-meter intervals in other places that are not residential. As we are developing, rather, instead of us to improve upon what Nkrumah started, we are rather retrogressing. And so you see new communities coming up that don't even have a single fire hydrant in place. And so in such areas, when we get there and the water in the fire tender get exhausted, then we need to move longer distances to go and look for water and come back. And this is what happens, and the public see and conclude that, the fire service, they came without water. It is never true that fire service attend incidents without water. Even in our stations where a fire tender is broken down, the fire tender contains water, because you don't know when you get short of water. Now we get this spot or out of commission fire tenders filled, because as and when the fire tender comes back into commission, you may not know whether you get water flowing or not. And so we want to disabuse the minds of the public that we attend incidents without water in the fire tender.
Thank you so much, sir. But sir, I would like you to help me understand, to paint the picture well. I understand that the service was established in 1963 by the Act of Parliament 219. So from that time, can you kind of throw more light on the nature of the fire appliances that existed during that period, during the formative years of the fire service, vis-a-vis the kind of appliances that we have now, so that you can actually let the public understand that there has been a massive improvement in the water carriage. So if they were thinking that during those days, because we came in with smaller fire tenders with smaller water capacity, that is not the situation now. Can you let us understand the era during the formative period and what currently persists in the service?
Yes, during the formative period of the fire service, we had appliances that also carried water as we have today. However, as technology improves, so we have also improved, moving from that stage to where we are now. Now, you see, you have a fire tender that must be able to move at a certain rate in terms of acceleration or speed, what we call speed. And so you don't bring in fire tender that is so huge and cannot move. When you do that, it means you are disadvantaging the public that you are going to serve. You get there all right, but you get there very late because you have a huge fire tender that must move slowly to the incident scene. Over the period, what we have done is to order for fire tenders with bigger capacity. And so today we have fire tenders that are of bigger capacity than the formative years of the fire service. Simply because we want to cure that issue of they came without water. However, we must also balance going to the incident scene with bigger capacity and getting there also on time. And so we balance these two to ensure that, yes, we don't get there late and we also arrive with capacities that can hold the fire for at least a minimum of 5 minutes. And so as I speak with you, we have 3 types of fire tenders in the system now. We have the Tata, we have the MAN Diesel, we have the PS, and we have the Volvo. So 4 types in the system now. Now, each of these appliances have different capacity of water holding capacity. Now, the biggest among them can stand fire for 30 minutes. And the least or the smallest can fight fire for 5 minutes. That is at higher pressure. So, when depending on the intensity of the fire, if we want to operate at higher capacity, then the smaller one can stand or fight the fire continuously for 5 minutes. And the bigger one can also do that for continuously for 30 minutes. Now, the purpose of a fire tender or the content of the fire tender is to start fighting the fire whilst you couple your hoses to the fire hydrant in order to get continuous flow of water to fight the fire.
Sir, please, you may hold on with that explanation. Viewers, I believe you are following the conversation, and this is an important point that we need to re-echo. The Public Director of Fire Service has indicated that during the formative stages of the fire service, there was a need for the service to use smaller type of fire engines, meaning that these fire engines had smaller water capacity, and that was during the formative years. So if you were part of that generation that saw the development of this noble institution, the Ghana National Fire Service, and then you had that mindset that, oh, fire service came with this smaller tender, and therefore when the fire was being put out, it took them less time for their water to be exhausted. You want to carry that idea into this current dispensation where we have fire tenders with bigger water capacity that also get exhausted at a point in time. These are the two differences. But say, quick one. Should the Ghana National Fire Service be blamed for not letting the public understand this phenomenon? Because this thing has been an age-old thing. It has been an allegation leveled against fire service for more than, let's say, 3 decades now. Do you want to take the blame that fire service has not done enough to let the public understand these things? And then also, are we also to blame a section of the media who has consistently highlighted this kind of sentiment from the public? I mean, where do we get the balance here? Where do we take the blame here? And what has the service done over the period to assuage the minds of the public that this assertion that we attend to fire scenes without water could be erased from their minds?
Before I even answer the question as to who to blame, let me quickly come to the early 80s, where what we call quick intervention vehicles were brought into the system to help deal with incidents. Because during those days were when we started receiving complaints that we arrive at incident scenes late. And so we had what we call quick intervention vehicles. These are very smaller fire tenders. They could be, those days they were Land Rover, and you have them converted into fire tender. So they could quickly maneuver and get to incident scenes on time. Now, because these were smaller vehicles, their capacities, of course, were also smaller. Unfortunately, during those days, government was unable to supply the fire service with fire tenders. And so it was like these quick intervention vehicles, which was just to get there quickly for the fire tenders to also come in to support, became the main fire tenders that we had in the system. And of course, these ones, if even a bigger capacity fire tender at higher pressure will take about 5 minutes, imagine the smaller tenders, Land Rover.
Sure.
And so that one even lasted in few minutes than the fire tenders. And so that perception was deepened that, yes, we told you, these people, they come without water. And so that was the situation at the time. And that is what fueled the perception that the fire service attend incidents without water. And so since then, we have also tried our best to educate the public that that was not the issue. But the more effort we put in, the more the public had the perception that maybe we were lying to them. It was not true. And of course, you couldn't also blame them at the time, because all the fire tenders we had in the system were these Land Rover fire tenders with smaller capacity water holding tanks. And so it rather fueled the perception instead of curing that perception. Now, over the period, and especially if you look at the PSs that we have in the system, they were specifically built to have bigger water capacity to cure that mischief.
Okay.
Unfortunately, when the PSs came, we still had the fire tenders with smaller capacities. And so the more effort you put in, the more people continue to believe that you attend to incidents without water. And so that was what happened. Unfortunately, we had sections of our media who intentionally also go and ask people, did the fire service come with water? And you know, if your property is bent, you are not of yourself. And so the automatic answer they got was that, oh, they came without water. And the media will carry it. We didn't even have problems if the media will carry this. But you see, we have all learned, together with my friends in the media, that in producing a story, you must produce a balanced story. So if the public says the fire service came without water, what do the fire service also say? And that is what they fail to do. They carry one-sided story without taking the view and the input of the fire service as well. And so our friends from the media have also helped to push that perception of the incident, the issues of fire service going to incident scenes without water. I must say, from the beginning or at a point in time, we as a service also didn't put in much effort to disabuse the minds of the public that no, the situation was not so. Until recently that we started. And you know, perceptions stick and they stay. And so that perception has continued to stay with the public. I remember as recent as early this year when Kantamanto Market got burnt. I went there.
That was
late last year.
Sure. Around
Good.
this time last year.
Good. I think I went with you.
Sure.
And on our way, you realize we were asking the public, especially those in Kantamanto, what happened. And we met a young man who said, oh, as for today, you reported very early, but you came without water. So upon further questions, his own colleagues who were there with him told us that, oh, he was lying. We came with water. And so, you see, if we had not queried further, sure, that perception was going to be with all those who were there. Even though they knew that we came with water, they didn't tell him initially that, oh, they came with water. Until we started probing further, then they came out to tell us that, oh, indeed, they came with water. And they congratulated us for the work that we have done. And so we have also a certain section of the population who have made it a point that, look, no matter what the fire service does, we will not appreciate. We will tell them that they came without water. And so that is what is happening. But we are urging our media colleagues in mainstream media to help us disabuse the minds of the public of this perception that, oh, fire service, they come to incidents without water. What is happening is that, like I indicated, in firefighting, availability of water means about 70% of the job is already done. But in our situation where we don't even have the water, if you don't have the water, I mean, it means 75 of the, you are working from negative 75% sure, of the job. You have a deficit to cover. Mm-hmm. And so that is what we find ourselves in now. And if we want to see a very effective fire service, then we must begin to equip the fire service more effectively so that we all see the effects and the benefits of a well-resourced fire service.
Thank you very much, sir. Viewers would want to let you understand that this program is coming to you live on our social media handles, especially on Facebook, and the handle is at GNFS Official, at GNFS Official. If you are now joining us, you are welcome to Fire Service in Focus series. This is the second edition of this program coming to you live from the studios of the Fire Service TV here in Accra. We want you to enjoy this program. This program is basically about you. It's a two-way kind of conversation. So we want to encourage you now to send in your questions, your comments, and what have you. So please share the link to your cycles of friends and let them come on board and let them understand that the topic for today is why is it that the fire service is accused of attending to fire emergencies without water. We want to let our audience, the public, understand the nitty-gritties of our job. And as already established, it can never be true. It is not true. It can never happen that a fire tender will be dispatched to an emergency scene without water. Please, we will take a short break at this juncture. When we come, we will show you some of the clips that when we visited the members, some section of the members of the public, and asked them, do you think that fire service really do not appear on emergency scenes or fire scenes without water? and then you will listen to what those rich said about the organization and some of the interesting comments they passed. Please do stick and stay with us. Welcome back to the Fire Service TV and on our social media handle, Facebook at GNFS Official. This is Fire Service in Focus series, the second edition, coming to you live from our studios in Accra. Today the topic for discussion is it really true that fire service attend to fire emergencies without water? We have delved into it. My boss has really said a lot. We would want you to watch one or two videos that when we interacted with the members of the public, this is what they had to say about that misconception or that assertion that has lingered in the minds and the hearts of Ghanaians. But before we go to watch these videos, permit me to read one or two comments that have come. This is to say that send in your questions, your comments, your views as quickly as possible so that we can read them to you. We thank you so much for joining us on our social media at the GNFS Official. This is from Pius Jr. He says, good afternoon. That statement, they came without water, is always funny to me. Like, how can that be true? This is what Pius Jr. is saying. However, when will the fire service recruitment forms be out? This one is two in one kind of question. This is also coming from Pius Jr. He says that great initiative. Sebefia School says that he's watching us. Michael Afari is also watching us. And then Apos Oderi, he says that this is rubbish. Oh, Apo, what is rubbish? Please, we have you at heart. Make sure that you stick and stay with us so that you would understand that age-old assertion that fire service go to fire emergencies without water can be explained to your understanding. So, quickly, we will go and take the videos. When we come back, we'll take your questions and then you read out your comments. Please take and stay with us.
Service for a bit me fire scene some could do our moon fans won't call. And they're very low. Resident of Moko could do Jabram for David. Some boom.
Oh, me who say fire car baby Desia and Sony Canuda. But the venom say Omugusu Dumjana Mudumjan soon. So intimate goes a tank and soon. This is Opompia San Sasa. And me who say fire car 2 about empty say is Sony Muda, no be that. But the Nuka Crafa air before no say. The Binibia who say Desia, but fire in the bedroom Odriana Dumjan straight, Najan Dum. Say then I do penetration and so ni kanu. Sana me hunu.
Me da wano ase.
In fact, me mati bi da bata somewhere so no me ya na me fa madwene nko papa. E better than what to car be 2 miles drive or 30 minutes wasted time. Na waba without ensure. Me nim said the monster no city mo me hu bi da. Enti mesra mo ene mo tank no mo ma munye transparent. twam ane ho se nsuo gum ye de kodum janye sa wa wonim ye aha bibifo de ye pe bibia pe kenkran ye pese ye hu sa de no enie ai
me fa mani hu bi da batmate enkrofo kan kana bano nsuo nim muni nsuo na sen but enkrofo kan so ayana me expect say enka radio so na TV so nka mo mpanifo no so beba be yi om ho ano say enye say na tia na say ni ti educate people no so enti no omuka na akoya keka na jaye so yaje di saa aha
nti me pa cho enye no kreda say fire for ebe ko so mkodum ja nsuo ni kanim me pa cho de ma mbisa question kitwa we ebetimi aba say oba betena ha ure be fi say obe park ni ama ya hyehyana
David into massa this anete there is no way a fire for ebe be juma no park say nsuo eni kanim na ye frame ya mepuka na akwa wo bra nsuo nim da entimi ntenya no kre entimi na chese eya keka
enya mu a kanta me ne ma ohosh enya fire service na ba aka kame e kame so anka be kame fi anka menim bebia by this time we imagine it fire service there Ghana for na abanye na ese yenso mu yiye mu ni police for mu na mu kita ye Ghana enti mu sumbu mai pa
da wano ase
no dey sometimes an yetete no
ba we hu bi da
mbacho me hu ni sada
mbacho wo so
oh san yetete ba me de me hu bi da on ba mo so nsuo ni ho
omo no mo ka che wo nsuo ni
oh san mo ka so ma short nsuo mo san da mo ko pe nsuo san ba
ene de eye no kre say bia nsuo no ma short bet hu say car no di kan ba first no nsuo tu akoso ko pe nsuo aba
Davi
no de wo ho
ondo
okay enti no say we hu bi da but na mi bisa na say ohun car na no say car na de wona de tie ni ansa na ye be ka se nsuo asan ye ko pe nsuo aba no car na edi kan friend first no e wo say sa car no eye den e wo ho the next car obeba no ebe supply new old one no obe supply ni nsuo e wo say ni nsuo no onu kita no ode be ma de owo dada no say na eja no obetima de edum no ti so no bread den o bread de owo dada ni nsuo no dane ne ho sanko fa nsuo fofo ba ti na sometimes we say car ne beba sisi a onya ba na abetwi nsuo ama no no asan dane no ko bi ka hwehwe o ba nsuo ni mo sa akọ na omu huru ye no mo to bo boyen enye ne sa nti ene wosu ya bibi
me de pa sem kuma no hu bi sada but ja me do adan se o ba no mo spray na anche ba na san he ndo pore dia ndem mo ho ndande mu ye o mo spray sa no na nso san but o mo mutumi later on o mo fa o mutumi dum no ma asomje ba he
madam.
So viewers, you are welcome back to the Fire Service in Focus series, the second edition coming to you live from the studios of the Fire Service TV. I believe you watched the videos on the assertions of the public as to regards to why we don't attend to fire scenes with water. So sir, watching the video and looking at the conversations, what is your opinion on the assertions?
Now, you realize that most of them were saying they've personally not seen one before. So it brings us back to the perception issue that we are talking about. The fact that you see a fire tender moving into an area of emergency and returning to look for water does not mean that the fire tender arrived there without water. It arrived with water, but like we are saying, we have different capacity of fire tenders. Some may last for just 5 minutes. What is happening is that if we had planned well, then there would have been fire hydrants at intervals for us to get water to do continuous firefighting. But because these are not in existence, when the water gets exhausted, then we need to go and look for the nearest hydrant and replenish before we come back. Now, you realize that if the fire tender arrives at a scene, under normal circumstances, as I indicated earlier on, the water in the fire tender is meant to hold the fort until you get your hose coupled to the nearest fire hydrant and replenish. Then you can get continuous water flow. But because we don't have them, and even where we have existing fire hydrants, you see that the hydrants are not flowing because our partners, that is Ghana Water also have their own challenges where now they ration water. And so if we get to areas where your tap is not flowing, then you should know that when there is any emergency, fire emergency there, and we come, it will be difficult for us to have continuous flow of water to perform our duties.
So, sir, a quick one. Whose responsibility is it to provide the Ghana National Fire Service with hydrants? And what is the mandate of Ghana National Fire Service in the management of these hydrants?
Thank you very much. For provision of fire hydrant, it used to be Ghana Water Company that provides Ghana National Fire Service for fire hydrants. But since they turned into a company, they have stopped producing or providing the fire service for fire hydrants. Now the responsibility falls on the local assembly, whose responsibility it is now to ensure that fire hydrants are put in place. So the three, the assembly, the fire service, and the Ghana Water come together to ensure that where hydrants are not available, the assembly provides money for the Ghana Water Company to provide fire hydrants. So until the Ghana Water Company became a company, when it was a corporation, they were responsible for providing fire hydrant for the fire service for its operations. Now, when it comes to the management of the fire hydrant, over there too, it comes to the two organizations. That's the producer and the user. We go around, check and give the Ghana Water Company a report on the various states of the hydrants around. Then based on that, those that we recommend that needs repair, the Ghana Water Company do or does repairs on them for us. And so there is always collaboration between the Ghana National Fire Service and the Ghana Water Company, and as well as the assemblies, to ensure that hydrants are in place, they are maintained for usage in times of emergencies.
Thank you so much, sir. I also get from your submission that now that Ghana Water Company is a limited liability company, they are restricted in terms of installing fire hydrants for the use of Ghana National Fire Service. But I am also a beneficiary of their service. Anytime they give me their monthly bill, I see a 1% charge for firefighting. What is the purpose of that 1% charge?
So that 1% charge is for the water that the fire service use to fight fires. So whatever water that we use for firefighting or for fire service or fire management purposes is paid for by you and me and everybody who pays water bill. Now, part of that money is also what is used to maintain the fire hydrants. Like I spoke to you that we need to give the Ghana Water Company a report on the various, the stage of the various hydrants, so that those that need repairs and maintenance are done. And so the rest of the money is used for the maintenance of the fire hydrants.
Thank you, sir. But there has also been instances where some communities that we have fire stations do not have Ghana Water supplying them with water. There is this agency, Community Water and Sanitation also. I've really forgotten the agency which is responsible. They also provide water for such communities. There has been instances where the fire officers have been denied from accessing water from the community water providers. In such instances, what is management doing, or what should the fire service in that locality do in order to get constant water supply? Because this is also a huge challenge that some of our stations out there in the district are also facing.
Right. In such instances, I don't know whether in those communities they also pay the bills, 1% bill for firefighting. If they do,
some do, some also do.
Yes,
not.
if they do, then the community water and sanitation unit should give them the water for the firefighting. But where they do not charge, then that is where the assembly also has a responsibility. Now, what we are advocating for as a service is to ensure that we have, where we have challenges with water like this, we dig boreholes and mechanize it so that at any given time that the fire service needs water, we can get water for our firefighting purposes. But seriously, the assembly should come in here to ensure that dedicated boreholes are drilled for the purposes of firefighting. Now, these boreholes must be mechanized, and then the water stored in a tank at a height so that immediately the fire service needs the water, it is supplied through those tanks that are stored with water.
So viewers, we want to reiterate the fact that this program is coming to you live from the studios of the Fire Service TV here in Accra, and it's also being beamed live on our Facebook handle at GNFS Official. At GNFS Official. Please do follow us, share the link with others, and also ensure that your questions, your comments, and your suggestions are brought on board. Today, we are privileged to have in the studios the Director for Public Affairs, ACFO 1, Timothy Osafo Afum. We are discussing why this old age assertion that Ghana National Fire Service do not attend to fire incidents with water. And the discussion so far has brought to the fore that assertion is not true. And then following from the conversation, if we're a district fire commander and in your jurisdiction, you don't have Ghana Water supplying you with water for fire management, it is incumbent on you not to relent, but to reach out to your assembly and have a meeting with the management of the community water, so that if they are not charging any fee for firefighting, it could be considered, and the assembly to also support to sink mechanized borehole at vantage point, so that at any point in time when you have to attend or deal with any fire emergency within the communities that you serve, you will get access to water, because you know that water is the main weapon. Let me quickly read some few comments that we have received. Nyako Ebenezer says that he is watching us live on Facebook. Solomoni Anum Nate also says he is watching us live. Derry Ambrose also says that he is watching us live. Kwesi Atifa is also watching us live. Now we have Edinon Bassett is also saying, oh, that is a good addition. He is commending us. Thank you, Edison, for reaching out. Nana Osebwating, Cynthia Opontreme, and then Busia Sam, Ebenezer Mensa, Samuel Nunu, Nana Y. Zelos, Udia Sempa Kojo Ejei, Francis Afo. They are all watching us live on Facebook. Roger Adi, Joanne J, Albert Amo, Emmanuel Odano. We want to appreciate you so much for following us and then bringing in your views and your suggestions. Ezekiel Jan says that thank you for the education. Joel E. Krampa, Winfred Sapon, Express Liza, and then Fuseni Kompore, Zurera, and Gideon Candy. They are all watching us live on Facebook. Evans Riafe, Dennis Efo Kojo, Ampa Latele Obone Lai. They are all watching us live. And then Opoku Francis says, God bless you, sir. We thank you for being with us through all this whilst following the conversation. We would still urge you to submit your questions. Let us know what you think about this assertion. We are breaking the myth on it. We are just busting the myth that fire service, is it really true that fire service really attend to fire emergencies without water? Is it really true? Have you witnessed some before? Share your experience with us. Let us know that indeed a whole fire engine came to a fire incident within where you live, and then there wasn't any water in it, therefore they couldn't manage the water. So, sir, let me ask this question. What has the service been able to put in place to ensure that there is always adequate water in all the fire tenders, even including those which are out of commission? What has been the measures put in place to ensure that there is always water even after firefighting? I mean, what does the service do in that regard?
In the first place, we have a system that we call handing over and taking over. When you go to any fire station, before we run shift system, and so at any given time that one shift is closing and going home, and another shift is taking over, there is a handing over where records are kept and recorded. And so at any given point, if I am taking over from you, I come, I check all equipment, oil, fuel, etc., etc., on the fire tender, and append my signature that water full, maybe fuel 3/4, extrication equipment in commission. Everything is recorded. And so if I have appended my signature, I have to ensure that indeed what I am saying that I have taken over is exactly what is on the ground. And so there is no way that anyone will take over a fire tender or from an outgoing crew without ensuring that there is adequate measures put in place. And so that issue of they came without water is not correct. Because if we investigate to see that you took over a fire tender without water, you are going to be in trouble. And our punishment goes to the extent of dismissal. And so nobody wants to be dismissed. And that is how come we are surprised that people continue to say that we attended incidents without water. It can never be true. Now, what are we doing to ensure that there is adequate water? What management has been doing over the period is to ensure that because of this continuous issue of the came without water, we get additional tenders in the form of water tanker. Now, these water tankers are to serve as backup to the fire tenders, so that if there is the need for additional water and the area that they are operating, they don't have a fire hydrant or water flowing, then these tankers move together with the fire tender to supply them with water. And so this is one of the measures that management has put in place. And the other one, like I said, is because the system continues to experience water shortages and rationing, we are putting in place the issue of boreholes, mechanized boreholes. In this respect, I'll use this occasion to appeal to philanthropists, individuals, and communities who can help us obtain mechanized boreholes, so that in the event of any fire incident, we'll be able to have adequate water for firefighting.
Thank you, sir. So it behoves on all of us to help the fire service to get access to constant water supply. Firefighting is simply about having enough water within the vicinity where the incident is happening, so that at any point in time we would have access to water and then use it to contain the fire emergency. Sir, I would want to ask your opinion on this. Do you think that the menace of Galamsey is also greatly affecting the water supply that we have? And how is it actually impacting on the activities of the Ghana National Fire Service, especially in the mining regions or mining communities like the Western region and parts of Eastern and those places where mining is very rampant or illegal mining is very rampant?
Mining is directly and indirectly impacting on the services of the fire service. Now, basically, we get our source of water from the Ghana Water Company. And so if the waters are polluted and the Ghana Water Company cannot lift water, it means we as well cannot also get water. So in all the communities that as a result of pollution of the water bodies, and as a result of that, Ghana Water is unable to supply water for the communities. It also affects us because, like I indicated, our source of water supply is solely from the Ghana Water Company. And so if they are unable to produce water, then we are also unable to get water to perform our functions. It has impacted us so much so that if you attend one fire and you are in a community that Ghana Water is not able to produce water, it means you must travel far distances to go and get water to come and stand by for your next emergency. And so in as much as we have been able to get water, it also impacts negatively on our resources in terms of fuel. It means we use a lot more fuel to travel long distances to get water to come and do our work. Under normal circumstances, if the water was available through Ghana Water Company, we wouldn't spend that much of fuel to go and look for water.
All right, sir. Thank you so much. I think I have a question from one Solomon Ni Anum Latte. Says, good afternoon. Although I didn't start listening from the beginning, what are we doing to let the public understand the fire service do not immediately start to fight fires whenever they get to the fire ground, but assessment is done before firefighting? This question is very important. Sir, can you share some insight on that?
I think last week we dealt a bit about this. So what happens is that immediately we get to an incident scene, you see the officer commanding the crew quickly dashing into the premises where the fire incident has happened. It is just to do a quick assessment of what is burning and what media we are to use to extinguish the fire. And so when we do this quick assessment, it isn't that we are not doing anything. The officer must be sure that his men are safe and that the right extinguishing media is being used to extinguish the fire. Now, you see fires and you think it is fire, but we have classification of fires. Not every fire can be extinguished by the same extinguishing media. There are some you can use ordinary water. There are some you can use powder. There are some you can use carbon dioxide. And there are some that you have to use foam. And so depending on what item is on fire, that will determine what type of extinguishing media we have to use. Sometimes what is even burning involves electricity. And you need to isolate the area of electric power before you can start fighting the fire. And so when these things happen, don't think that we are there and we don't know what we are doing. We have done our assessment, and sometimes if we think that we are at risk of electrocution, we communicate with Electricity Company of Ghana to also isolate the whole area so that we can effectively and safely deal with the situation.
So please, viewers, when you see us at the fire scene and the assessment is ongoing, please do not pelt stones, do not abuse the fire officers who are doing the assessment. You know, like explained by my boss, they need to really know what is going on before they deploy the appropriate measures or method in dealing with the situation. So please, when you see them at any fire incident, they are professionals, they've been trained. Allow them, give them space to be able to work so that they can deliver on their mandate. We are honored this afternoon to inform our viewers and our cherished community out there that this program is the second edition of the Fire Service in Focus series, coming to you live from the studios of Fire Service TV here in Accra. We want to inform you that this program needs sponsorship. So we are appealing to you out there. If you want to sponsor this program, our doors are open so that we can bring you more insightful content to kind of bring you up to speed as to the modus operandi of the service, so that as you understand us, you would also play your part or your role as far as fire prevention is concerned. So we are open for advertisement. We need sponsors. If you watch the screens, you would see the numbers that you can contact for placement of advertisement. So please do contact those numbers, and as quickly as possible the team will respond to you so that you could be of tremendous help to this program and many others that we intend to roll out. We have this from Sebefia School. He says, this is from Think Safety Global. We are watching you live. We appreciate the work of JNFS. Kudos. Thank you, Sebefia. Edinon Bassett says that he's watching from Ghana Navy Headquarters here in Accra. Tahiru Sulemana Idrisu also says that thank you for the education. Tahiru, we are grateful for keeping in touch with us. Shaibu Abdul Wahab says that GNFS has been my dream work. I have been trained at FACTS before. Wow. We are praying for you so that when the opportunity comes, you would also have the chance to join this noble profession. Peter Nanayao Ete, he says, Save House Initiative, watching you live. Keep it up. Nanayao, thank you so much for joining us for this second edition. We have Tologi Setu Melo. We have Aseda Mavis, Koda Samuel, Ibrahim Fiaza, Ebenezer Gazy, Adams Idi, Nana Kwame JC, Berima Kechre Ajiman. They are all watching us live on Facebook. Please do not forget to share the link to your friends, share it on your timelines, share it everywhere so that people could see the very good work that the GNFS is doing. Today, we are happy to bring you the discussion, why is it really true that Ghana National Fire Service attend to fire emergencies without water? And we have delved deep into the factors that actually militate against our role in assessing water. So on this note, I would like to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll take the final comments of our resource person in the person of ACFO 1 Timothy Osafo Afum, who is helping us address this question. Please do stay with us. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for sticking and staying with us through this second edition of the program Fire Service in Focus. Today we have been discussing, is it really true that fire service attend to fire scenes without water? And you would bear with me that the discussion has been very insightful. The myth has been broken, and therefore we will delve deep to bring you more insightful content. We have this question from Gideon Candy, who is joining us on our Facebook feed. He says that at a fire scene, is it appropriate for civilians or onlookers to assist by pulling hoses, etc.? Sir, what's your take on this?
So it is not advisable anytime we come for operations. It is for the public to give us space to work. And I said this thing the last time. If we need any help from the general public, we will invite you to come and assist. Don't come into the area, the danger zone. Like I indicated, there are several risks involved in firefighting. It may be a risk of inhaling toxic fumes. It may be a risk of explosion. The risks are several and many. And so if we need you, we'll ask you to come and support. But don't come closer to our operations. It is a risk to your life.
Thank you, sir. So, sir, on this note, what is the service doing to ensure that we get constant access to water? Then you add your final comments.
So, like we said, our main supplier of water, Ghana Water, has a challenge because me and you, we cannot fund them adequately to produce adequate quantity of water for the population. And so once this is happening, as a service, what we have also done is to ensure that we get mechanized boreholes. And this we want to roll out throughout the whole country. And you will agree with me that this is a very expensive, constructing boreholes around the communities throughout the country. And so we expect individuals and philanthropists to come in to assist us in getting these more mechanized boreholes so that we will have continuous flow of water anytime there is a fire emergency. I think if this is done, we will all be safe and we will stop complaining that the fire service arrive at incident scenes without water. What we need is the cooperation of the general public because, like I indicated again the last time, we have one of the best trained and dedicated fire service personnel across the world.
Well, viewers, we thank you so much for joining us for this second edition. As already indicated, this program has you in focus, has you in mind. And we want to thank you once again for allowing us into your hearts and minds this afternoon to bring you this episode dubbed, Is It Really True that Ghana Fire Service, Ghana National Fire Service, attend to fire incidents without water? And the answer is really yes. We come with water. The issues are that the fire hydrants are not enough, and those that are even functioning are not functioning at desired pressure. So we would appeal to you, our viewer, to continue to support the fire service by way of sponsoring this program for us, by way of helping the service to produce or install mechanized boreholes in our various communities. Let us take fire service at heart and help fire service meet this important mandate of getting access to constant water supply. Because as we get access to this water supply, we would be in the position to extinguish any fire, no matter its size. Thank you for joining us. Continue to send in your questions and we'll be glad to address them for you. This has been the second episode of the Fire Service in Focus. Is it true that Ghana National Fire Service attend to fire incidents without water? Thank you and see you next time.
Town Circle Lona yen kwete klemina ka de sangana Kumasi Central Market Atomic Junction Wajan nankoni mutani na mutua Tema Central Medical Source ya koni Wanga ya zampo ya bakoa Ashima nyanwa mgadanu la shiama na midanu la shiama Ashima cholaka Illegal connection taking place in our homes is a major factor of fire outbreak. Prolonged using of appliance is a major factor of fire out. So it's a fire service. Oja, oja. Charging of phones and other gadgets overnight. Oja, oja. Improper disposal of cigarettes after smoking. Oja, oja. Putting candles and calls on the wooden table. Oja, oja. Fire engines no yati yasie Yenga wai mwala he Ya mama yuko nye jumapa muye For protecting our properties Fire service for nyina ya damasi Click take word Fire service mabomodimba Sebebi shina ya frema munya ya azan Enti asidan koma munyina Efise muubwa fire prevention campaign Fire service for nyina mi mama mo Adigato youth preacher Ukrani yobishi omuyi laita uma Eba no sasua, ebe peja Kosha joe yoshi odogba ekoni Overloading of sockets su, eyebia Sani wale ake wabe fakra